Welcome, everyone. We have to touch on a subject that really, ideally, we would have touched early on. But I think at this point, you'll actually start to see the relevance of the information a lot better. So, it's unfortunately the conversation about stress management. And we hear that term a lot, and we think that we're more or less doing it, but there's a lot of misunderstanding about how that really works and what you're trying to achieve with it that sometimes gets us a little off track. So, we're going to deal with it now, and hopefully, you can go back and backtrack through some of the fitness and nutrition stuff with this in mind, because really what's going on is you have to deal with this aspect before all of the other things will work. And when we're talking about stress management, people often say to me, oh, actually, I handle stress pretty well and I don't have a lot of stress, or, I don't let it bother me, or I'm not exposed to very much. But actually, what's happening is, as a whole, we're actually chronically stressed. So, in other words, it's so consistent and even low grade that we don't really notice that it's even in our lives anymore, and really don't pay attention to what it might be doing to our body. Unfortunately, it's doing a lot, because if you actually look to nature and try to understand how stress works and its purpose in protecting us and helping us avoid danger, the fact that we have it consistently low grade chronically in our everyday lives means that we're living actually as if we're in danger all the time. So if you're not noticing it, it's not because you don't have it. It could be because you've adapted to it so much that it just is existing all the time. And you don't really feel any repercussions of it because there's no highs and lows that you get from being exposed to stress. But in the same sense, what's happening by being in it chronically is your body is doing all the things it would normally do in the face of danger, and not going back to all the things it needs to do when you're not in danger to help you thrive and adjust to everyday living. And so you're actually not functioning as you should optimally. So what I mean by this is, when you take an animal in the wild, they're exposed to danger, and they they tend to sort of have that quick, impulsive, fight or flight response. That is more or less temporary. So basically, once they're in a spot where there's no obvious danger, they go back to normal, they resume normal operations, they go back to looking for food and shelter and all the kind of regular everyday things that they do. And until there is another obvious sign of danger, they operate as if there is no danger. What happens with humans is we've gotten so exposed to little stresses, regular stresses, chronic stresses, that we never resume our normal operations. And in the human body, when you're exposed to stress, it doesn't continue some of the bodily functions that it needs to do or doesn't need to do while it's exposed to danger to help you best survive it, but then it needs to resume those again. And if you don't get back into your normal pace, the non-stress mode, then your body never goes back to those normal processes. So these are things like your immune system, your digestion, all your restorative functions to regenerate energy, to properly metabolize, to reset your brain, to reset your nervous system. So if none of these happen, then those are the things that help you improve, to help you get healthier, to help you take the best nutrients from your food, and really to thrive. So when we're and people when people say to me that they're not exposed to stress on a regular basis, I use a few qualifiers. So think about this. Have you ever had a to-do list that you have during the day, and at the end of the day there's a huge sense of satisfaction because you've finished everything? Well, you are actually operating in low grade stress, focusing on that and working with that. Or you know that you don't want to forget something. You've got to pick the kids up at daycare. You got to stop at the grocery store. You have to get gas. Refill the windshield washer fluid. And your brain's kind of going, saying, "Got to make sure I do all these things," and then you do them all, and you feel a great sense of satisfaction. We think that these are all good things, and they are. But really, when you're doing these things, you are operating in a low grade stress mode. And because it feels so normal and natural, because we've done it all the time, you don't consciously take the time to go, oh, okay, I need to get out of this mode, let my body reset, let it know it's safe so that I can resume all of the other functions that it needs to do. And so what's happening is you're not digesting your food properly. You're not able to take the best nutrients and minerals from that food because the process is either halted or working at a sub level. So, obviously then your metabolism isn't functioning at its best level. People have a lot of immune type related features such as like inflammation or mild histamine type reactions or bloating, headaches, because your body is really trying to operate without doing all its normal processes because it thinks it needs to get you through this period of time successfully and alive so that you get to the other side where you'll rest and restore. We just don't do it. And it's not our sleep type rest and restore. We actually need to get into a mode where you are rest and restore while awake. So in other words, your body's used to going, oh, okay, the danger's past. Now I'm going to sit, rebalance, tell all of my bodily functions to start operating normally, and there's no need to protect itself, because really what happens when it halts some of those processes, it's actually trying to use all your resources just to escape the danger. And so it isn't going to send blood to parts of your body that aren't needed, or the amount that's not needed. Your organs kind of go in a little bit of a halt mode because obviously they're not needed in the exact moment that you're exposed to the danger. The problem is our body thinks it's exposed to danger at a really small level all day long. So there has to be a part of this process where you want to break that habit. And remember, it's such a habit that you're not even noticing it. So the best way to break the habit, really what you're trying to do is retrain your nervous system that when something happens, that you then take the time to bring yourself back down. So the best way to go about this is, say you're at work or you're working on something and it's a meeting that doesn't go well, or it just didn't accomplish what you wanted to accomplish. You feel a little hint of stress in your body. And I think we can all agree that many meetings can do this to us. So you need to then say to yourself, when you have the opportunity, as soon as you can after, okay, I was exposed to a bit of turmoil or stress or challenges or whatever. So now I'm going to literally stop, tell myself I'm okay, and take some deep breaths. Deep breaths are the best way to physically tell your body that it's safe, because in many conditions when we're stressed or hurried or rushing or focused on something else, what is the one thing we do? We stop breathing properly. We don't take in those nice deep breaths that kind of get into your diaphragm. Where sometimes, really wanting to take nice deep nasal breaths, blow them out so that we take in more oxygen the next time. You just really want to do the pause. And so whatever it is that makes you feel that pause, makes your body feel like, that's what you want to start to do. And the people that are the most successful with this develop two big things. One is that it's something they can do really quickly in almost any situation. And then they also develop a bit of a repertoire. So it's, something they tell themselves, the deep breaths, maybe it's some stretches or a yoga move, or sitting in a chair, sitting on the floor, looking out a window. But it's a few little key things that they can do most of the time that will, with consistency, tell your body, Oh, I'm safe. Let's just calm, relax, rebalance, adjust, and then we can resume normal operations. So, the only way to get out of this chronic stress phase that we're not even noticing is to do this consistently. And if you've just done that with me right now, you'll go, oh, I was listening to this video thinking I wasn't very stressed, but I can feel that. I can feel my body go, and it feels good. And so that just told you, even when you didn't think you were stressed, your body was in that mode just a little bit, but just a little bit enough that it was staying there all the time and not signaling your body to resume everything normally. So imagine if you were in this phase, how could your body feel comfortable losing weight? How could it feel comfortable working on repairing muscles that maybe you were trying to tone? Or how could it feel comfortable working harder at breaking down more food or trying to assimilate more of the nutrients and minerals from the food when you're in this kind of heightened state of, oh, I gotta do this? It can't. So, all of what you've been working on won't be effective unless you take this step to spend every day, several times of the day, to show your body that feeling of, nice big breath in, relax your arms, your shoulders, your neck. Think of something that's pleasant and let your body just relax. The more times you do it throughout the day, the more times you reset your body, the more times that you remind your nervous system of how it does relax, and the more chance you have of creating this habit where your body will quickly and easily get into this rest and relaxation mode, which is the most effective place for it to be for you to make change. Because the one thing we have to definitely remember is change causes stress in our body. And that's even change that's good for us. So if you're changing your nutrition, you're changing your fitness habits, you're changing your focus or things you think about or how you work on things or want to improve your creativity, you've got to get your body in this rest and relaxation mode on a more regular basis, because that is where it will do that. And that is only where it will be able to make these changes and not be overwhelmed by the fact that you're making changes. This is where you find your success. This is where you will find all the other things you're doing for yourself come together and you will see the change. But only if you take this as important, take it as necessary, and make the effort to give your body the that it needs to do what you want it to do for you.